certainly if we talk about what's going on with the BRICS, there's a lot going on. I mean, and we've talked about ad nauseum the fact that in the first 3 months of the year, the central banks bought a combined almost 230 tons of gold. That's the most ever seen in a quarter, in a first quarter.
Andy Schectman reveals a series of astonishing developments unfolding within the BRICS nations and their impact on the global financial landscape. He emphasizes the unprecedented gold buying spree by central banks, with over 230 tons accumulated in just 3 months, setting a record. Furthermore, he highlights the growing interest in joining BRICS, with 25 countries, including France and Belarus, seeking formal membership. The most intriguing revelation comes when he mentions the upcoming introduction of a new currency by BRICS, pegged to commodities like gold. Schectman underscores the significance of this move and the alignment of powerful countries such as China, Russia, India, and Brazil in terms of population, land mass, energy output, GDP, food production, and nuclear arsenals. However, amidst these groundbreaking developments, the price of silver inexplicably plummeted, leading Schectman to question the motives behind such market manipulation. He challenges conventional wisdom and hints at a shocking revelation that awaits in the later part of the video. Don't miss this game-changing information. Watch until the end and prepare to be astonished.
And, you know, the central banks are continuing to add to their positions. China, 7 months in a row, has been buying. India continuing to buy. Their gold reserves have risen by over 40% since they started accumulating gold a few years ago. Again, the Bank of Iraq, their reserves in 1 day, 2.5 tons of gold, increased their reserves by 2%. Singapore, their gold reserves up 35% in 3 months. They've been the largest purchaser of gold this year in 3 months. And so the central banks are continuing to massively accumulate gold and silver. There's no question about that. And as it relates to a bigger picture, we talk about the BRICS. There are 25 countries now that have formally applied to BRICS, according to a new article that just came out. Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belarus, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe. I mean, the numbers are growing. And, you know, we're told that on August 22nd in their South African meeting, their annual meeting, that they are going to discuss or introduce their new currency. This is a report that Jim Rickards talked about, where they are actually talking about coming out and introducing what we've been talking about a long time, this commodity-backed currency. What makes all of this even crazier, in the last few weeks, we've talked about Macron and him pushing back against the West, embracing the Chinese, buying liquid natural gas in yuan, striking a 51-point agreement with China from 5G to military engagement. He, according to the South African president, has requested to be present at the meeting in August. So you have France and Belarus, the two countries, European countries, that are now showing interest in joining the BRICS. You have Japan, who has just purchased a whole bunch of Russian oil above the benchmark that the U.S. set of $60 or something like that, and then purchasing them at around $70. That does not make the West and their sanctions happy. So things are beginning to really, really speed up as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, when you talk about the significance of these countries, I'd like to read something real quick here that Jim Rickards brought up, and I found it to be fantastic. He says, you know, he's talking about this new currency that will likely be pegged to gold. We talked about gold being revalued or revalued to a tier 1. We talk about all the countries who have repatriated their gold. We talk about the European countries who not only have repatriated their gold, but many of the countries like France have exchanged their gold that doesn't meet LBMA standards. In other words, they have bars that don't meet the purity. It's as if they're all preparing for some event by repatriating, by accumulating, by exchanging out bars that don't meet LBMA standards. it's as if something is coming. And he talks about how this plays right into the hands of the BRICS, because you have, with China and Russia, you have two of the largest gold producers in the world, ranked 6th and 7th respectively. With Saudi Arabia and Russia alone, he talks about you have two of the three largest energy producers in the world. He talks about with Russia, China, and Brazil and India, all members, you have 4 of the 7 largest countries in the world measured by land mass, 50% of the world's wheat and rice production, 15% of all the gold reserves. You have, when you talk about India, China, Brazil, you have 4 of the 9 highest population countries in the world. Not to mention, when you talk about Russia and China, you have 2 of the 3 largest nuclear arsenals in the world. And by every measure, population, land mass, energy output, GDP, food output, and nuclear weapons, BRICS is not just another, flimsy, let's just pass it off, it'll never happen. This is a growing, real entity. And when you see Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, France, Belarus, rumors of Japan and Australia, they're all showing interest and or applying. When Macron strikes deals with China, buying liquid natural gas in yuan, 51-point agreements, including military engagement, and requesting to be at the BRICS summit, it's more than just a feigning interest. And so I think this is a really, really, really big deal. And if what Jim says is true, and they do indeed introduce their new currency pegged to commodities in their August meeting, things are going to be very, 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 very interesting. I think this is something people really need to pay close attention to. We've seen other things too. Recently, Egypt just came out and said that they will pay with the Russian ruble to settle trade with Russia and pay with Chinese yuan for business with China. And so similarly, it will do the same thing with India, paying for rupee. So they've applied to BRICS. So they're going to trade with India, with China, and with Russia in their currencies until there is a common currency. And so, when you see all of these things starting to happen, it, to me, is a whole lot more significant and meaningful than just talking about these countries joining together in an ideological endeavor. This is actually happening, and it's real. And, put it all together, it starts to become a little bit concerning. As far as what's going on in the metals market, look, I haven't read why the price of silver got clobbered today. And whatever it is, it doesn't make sense. Because if we look at what happened last week when it got clobbered, 25,890,000 ounces, or 5,178 COMEX contracts were dumped in 15 minutes. So no one in their right mind who is trying to maximize a return on any asset being sold would dump that kind of quantity at the open. It's done for effect. It's a drive-by shooting. It's done to demoralize. But in reality, you take a step back and say, what kind of idiot would ever do that? And the answer is no one who was trying to maximize a return. It is someone who is trying to do this for effect. And that's why when you see all of these things happen, when you see the largest accumulation of gold by the central banks ever over the last 18 months, when you see countries continuing to move away from the West, including our allies, and using gold and silver as a way to de-dollarize, then the price means nothing. And I know it's hard to hear that. It's almost hard to say it, but it's true.
Thank you for watching this eye-opening video revealing the astonishing developments within the BRICS nations and their impact on the global financial landscape. We hope you found the information thought-provoking and insightful. To stay updated on the latest developments in the metals market and the future of BRICS' new currency, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Don't miss out on future episodes where we dive deeper into these game-changing topics. Remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Stay informed and empowered.